What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Marketing Nomad Show. It's your favorite marketer and podcast host, Prit. Now, today we're on episode number 44, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is how to achieve pricing confidence. Now, believe me when I say this, guys, today I'm super confident about my prices. And yes, with every new product that I do bring along, there's a little bit of uncertainty that comes with it, but regardless of that, I'm still very confident about my prices. However, my journey with respect to pricing confidence was not always like this. It has come a very long way. And when I first started out, it was crazy. I was reading blogs on pricing. I was listening to podcast episodes just like you about pricing, and I was constantly worried if I was pricing myself right. It was overcharging, undercharging, all of those things. And every time someone would even talk about pricing, I would get so defensive, and it was just insane, guys. I would overthink a lot, which is, kind of like my general nature, but it was just insane, and I was just not in a healthy mindset when it came to pricing. So it took me a long time to get to where I am today. So I think that's also one of the reasons why I have so much to talk about this topic, and it's hard truths because it's what I've been through. And it's what I've learned that, most of the blogs out there, most of the podcast episodes out there, as much as I know that they want to help you, most of the advice that I did receive was not actionable, was not something that I could actually put into play, which is why I decided I'm going to do this podcast episode, because I wanted to give you guys actionable steps that you can actually take and have systems in place to kind of achieve that confidence. Yes, there's a little bit of mindset involved, of course, because it is pricing. It has to do with mindset. But for the most part, what this episode is going to deal with is putting systems and structures in place in your business so that you are just that confident about your pricing. You just know that that is the right price for you, and therefore you are more confident about your pricing, okay? Now, before we get into today's episode, let me first introduce myself. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are returning, well, I love you guys, right? Okay, guys, so a little bit about me. I'm a marketing strategist. I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, what else? I'm a podcast host, as you guys know. I'm an avid book reader, and I'm also a Bollywood dancing fan. Okay, that's a short snippet of who I am. I do offer one-on-one marketing strategy consultations at the moment. There are 3 packages available: the 1-month package, the 2-month package, and the 4-month package. I also am currently offering Instagram audits to help you scale your business, convert your followers to clients. And if you are interested in any one of these services, please do check the description box below. Also, if you have not subscribed to this podcast, please make sure that you do. I upload podcast episodes every single day, Monday to Friday, usually in the morning EST, okay? And I talk about Instagram strategy, marketing strategy, business strategy. I also do get into mindset a little bit, just because I kind of want to make this podcast like a holistic development of a successful business owner, okay? All right, so that's basically a short introduction about who I am. Let's get into how to achieve pricing confidence, episode number 44. Okay, so before I kind of get into the tips, let's first talk about the 3 pricing tiers, okay? The first pricing tier is when you are undercharging yourself. And how do you know that you're undercharging yourself? It's pretty simple, guys. You're gonna feel a lot of resentment for the amount of work that you're doing. It doesn't matter if your client is super nice or awesome or just so charming. You're gonna feel so much resentment because you personally know, like internally and your intuition, every single part of you, you know that the amount of work that you're doing is way more than how much you're being compensated for. So that's when you're being undercharged. When it's overcharging, let's go to the other extreme before we talk about the middle ground. When you are overcharging, I know there are a lot of, pricing strategies and books and blogs and advice out there that says, there's no such thing as overcharging. You just do you, boo, and stuff like that. However, I'm here to kind of bust that myth for you and tell you that there is something called overcharging, and this is how you know that you are overcharging. When you start to feel nervous about how much you're getting paid and the value that you're giving back to the customer, that's when you know that something's off. When you are very unsettled with your price, and I don't mean this in the confidence part of it, I mean that internally you know that you're stretching yourself way too thin, and the value that you're going to deliver to your customer may not reflect in the pricing. And believe me guys, you will know this. That is when you are overcharging. So you're always on the edge. You're always nervous about when you are doing your actual I would say your service or your product. When you're delivering it, you kind of have that nagging feeling at the back of your mind that your customer is going to find this less than what they expected. Then you should know that you are overcharging, okay? And of course, we have a middle ground, and that's just nice, where the value that you provide is probably a tad bit more than the price that you are offering, okay? And you know it, the customer knows it, and that's what makes them so happy, because you're offering a tad bit more value. But that value, that additional value that you are offering, is not enough to make you resent. It actually makes you super happy that you're making your customer happy. That's when you know it's just perfect, okay? And yes, I do say that the value that you offer has to be a tad bit more than the price that you set, because at the end of the day, it's your customer on the other end, right? You want to make them happy. And when you over deliver just a little bit, guys, I'm not saying go to another extreme, right? When you over deliver just a little bit, it makes them happy, it makes them cherish that relationship a little more, and it makes them come back to you when they need your services again, okay? So it's just that tad bit of extra value, and it's not necessarily in terms of the services you offer, like the physical services that they paid for. Maybe you have exceptional customer service. Maybe your website is super awesome and super easy to navigate. Maybe your course, whatever you've structured, is so simple and easy and it just flows right through. It's those tidbits of little value that's a little over the top, but it's just perfect and doesn't make you resent, okay? So I don't mean actual physical work of you delivering more in terms of your product or service, but I am talking about extra other value-added stuff that you can bring to the table, okay? So those are the 3 tiers that we are going to talk about. We've actually finished talking about, to be honest with you. And today we're gonna talk about how do you achieve that pricing confidence? How do you stay happy and confident when you know you've priced yourself just nice, okay? And let me first, before again we get into the steps, let me talk a little bit about undercharging and charging yourself just nice, because I think that a majority of you who are listening to this podcast episode are going to be in this region. You are probably undercharging at the moment. You're probably frustrated with whatever your prices are, and you're worried that if you price yourself to what you should be pricing yourself, the just nice bucket, then you're going to be losing your customers and you're going to be, I don't know, without any income the next month. However, I'm here to tell you that if you are undercharging yourself, if you are feeling that resentment when you are offering your services or when you are physically doing the work for your audience or your clients, then that's probably not the right way to go. Find a way to consistently keep increasing your price, maybe, and this worked for me, guys. So when I first started out, I was way undercharging myself. Like, honestly, guys, I was earning peanuts in my first 2 months of when I started my freelancing business, okay? Now I don't do freelance anymore, but, well, at that point, when I first started out, there was this limiting belief that I had on my mind that, hey, I am starting new as a freelancer and no one's gonna pay me to my worth. However, I could not have been more wrong than that. I did have an MBA degree. I had marketing work experience at a top solar firm in New York. I had interned for companies all through my engineering, and I helped them with their website. I helped them grow their Facebook group. So there were so many achievements that I had that I brought to the table that I did not value, and thus I was undercharging myself, okay? So if that's the case, if that's where you are, I really want to tell you that this episode is for you, okay? So let's get into step number 1. Step number one is a mindset step, and that is you need to believe in your worth. Okay, however difficult that may sound, even if you think that, hey, I'm starting out this business really fresh, I should probably not be charging higher, then I do want to tell you that there are so many other things that you bring to the table that you need to recognize, because if you don't recognize that, then obviously your clients, your potential clients, are not going to recognize it. So first step is to understand what your worth is. Okay, whether it's your educational degree, whether it is your work experience, whether it is life experience, whatever it is, certifications that you may have done, additional skills that you may have picked up along the way, whatever it is, I want you to take a second today and write all that down. I don't want you to just tell it out in front of the mirror. I actually want you to physically write this down. And the reason is, when you write this down, A, you can keep it for future records for you to read the next time you feel low about your worth, which, believe me guys, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that happens way more often than it should not, okay? And the second reason is, when you are writing it, something happens to your mind and it flips a switch and you actually start believing what you're writing because it's physically there in front of you, okay? Rather than words just being out there, it's something that's physically in front of you and you start to believe it yourself. It's actually a pretty powerful technique. So I want you to write down whatever it is, guys. It could be your educational qualifications. Maybe you have a degree. Maybe you are, you probably interned for 5 years, or you probably had work experience worth 3 years. And over there, you picked up some skills, whatever they are, soft skills, hard skills, anything, guys. Make sure you write that down. The minute you start to write that down, understand that that is you as a package. Okay? That entire piece of paper is you, and that's what you bring to the table. Every time you lay out your service or every time you put your product out there, that is what its worth is. Okay? And if you are doing a product and you kind of are not doing services, then I would highly recommend writing down the worth of your product. And I don't mean the monetary worth. I mean, what does it bring to the table? How does it transform the life of your customer, the end customer? Okay? Figure all of those out and believe in the worth of you. If you are offering services, then your product is basically you, right? Because you are the person who's offering those services. If you have an actual product, then figure out what its worth is. And after that, guys, you need to believe in that worth for you to be confident about your prices. Because if you don't believe it, then all of that is jack shit. Like, it's pointless doing all of what we're doing. So once you believe that, hey, this is what I bring to the table, this is who I am, this is my worth, it just becomes that much more simpler, guys, for you to understand and for you to know that, hey, given everything that I bring to the table, this price is right. It helps you justify it to yourself. And you may not need to justify it to the world, or the world probably does not need your justification, but you need that justification for yourself, okay? If you want to be confident, I know people say, oh, don't justify yourself to anyone, but honestly, you do need to justify yourself to yourself at least, so that you can gain that confidence, because all it is basically a mindset issue, right? You are justifying to yourself that you are worth that price. And if you can't justify it to yourself, then no one else is going to believe it. Okay? So that was number 1, guys. Number 2 is to be confident, or to be sure that the right ones who value what you bring to the table will pay for it. Okay? And I know that especially when you're undercharging and when you have to raise your prices, there's a little bit of hesitation over there, because you're like, if I raise my prices, I'm going to lose all the existing clients I have. And you know what? The truth is, you might. I'm not going to say, oh my God, no, you're not. No, we're a pretty honest podcast, and I'm going to tell you, you probably might. And if you do, listen to me. If you're multitasking, I want you to stop what you're doing and listen to me. If you do lose all your customers that were there when you were undercharging, it can mean one of two things, okay? One, you have not convinced your customer of the value that you bring to the table. And guys, that's not on them, that's on you. And we'll talk about that, okay? Number two is that you have not attracted the right customer because you were undercharging yourself. Mind-blowing, isn't it? It took me such a long time to figure these two things out, guys, okay? And let's talk about the first one. The first one was you have not convinced your customers of the value that you are bringing to the table. And that's okay because, again, we're talking about confidence. And when you are undercharging yourself, it can kind of hinder your confidence. It can. And I completely understand that. I've been through it myself. So that's when you need to start working on showcasing your value, okay? Whatever it is, this is business, guys. I know people say, you should just be yourself and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you need to show that value out. If you keep it to yourself, no one's ever gonna know and no one's ever gonna pay you the worth that you are. So start showcasing your value. Position yourself as an expert. That's what you need to start working on. And whatever it is that, you are explaining to your customers, maybe you want to show them the actual value of you. Maybe you were hiding a part of yourself. Maybe you were not giving the extent of your worth because you were undercharging yourself and you didn't think that that was worth the price. Whatever it is, find your justifications for the price that you want to price yourself, okay? And start showing it to others as well. The minute you believe it, that is the moment that you will subconsciously start showing everyone that, hey, this is my worth, this is my value, take it or leave it, okay? And that can't happen if you don't do step number one. Now let's talk about the second part of it, This was if your customer did not understand the value that you were bringing, and that is on you, and I said you have to step up, okay? You have to show them your worth, your value, and I know it might seem a little bit arrogant, but this is business at the end of the day. If they don't recognize your value, and if you're not confident in showing your value, then you can't expect them to know your value, okay? Now let's talk about the second part of this step, and that is if all the clients that left you were not even in your target market. That actually does happen. It did happen to me. When I first started out, I told you I was charging peanuts, right? And when I decided that, heck no, I was not able to make ends meet. I was not at all charging my worth. No way close to that, guys. It was probably 1% of what I am actually worth and my services, the value of my services, what I bring to the table and all of those things. So really, it was really peanuts, guys. So that's when I was like, no, that's it. I'm pricing my worth. I don't care what anyone has to say, but I'm putting myself first and I'm putting my worth first. And when I did that, I lost a good number of my clients because they did not want to move forward with me because they were happy with me undercharging myself. Okay, so they did not have my welfare in mind, and probably it was due to their budget restrictions. Whatever it is, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But let me tell you, I got those jobs because I was competing with other people and I was competing with them based on price. So I undercut myself way too much just so that I could beat the competition, which was such a bad mindset to even go into, and that is probably one of the reasons why I don't recommend freelance websites. We will do another podcast episode on that if you guys want. If you guys want, do let me know. But yes, we will talk about that in another podcast episode. But so when these clients did bring me on, they brought me on because of the price that I was at, and that was because I was at the lowest. Like, I had 10 other people and I was the lowest, so you can imagine how low my prices were at that point. So when they left, there were 3 of them that stuck around, and they said, you know what, Prit? I think you are worth your price, and I'm going to stay around because I'm going to pay you for what you are worth. And that, guys, was such a huge boost for me in terms of confidence, because I think that was a validation in itself, okay? Them saying that, hey, you are, this, it's probably the best if we pay whatever you're worth, because I know I can't get this level of service from someone else. And that was amazing, guys. And it may happen with you, it may not happen with you. I was super, super lucky that, 3 people did hang on. But that also made me realize that I need to be very particular in who I am attracting as a client, because it all boils down to me. If I am attracting a client who is paying me because I'm the lowest, I don't know, whatever, I'm charging the lowest, I'm charging the lowest amongst 10 other competition, versus me attracting a client who is paying me because they understand my value, they understand my whatever my worth is and what I bring to the table, and they're okay with my prices. Look at the difference, guys. Those are 2 distinct clients. And that's when I decided that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be attracting the right kind of clients. And for me to attract the right kind of clients, I need to be sure of myself and my price and my worth and my value. And if I'm not sure of it, I can't expect anyone else to be sure of it. Okay, so that's when I decided to believe in my worth, and that's when I actually decided to put systems in place to make me more confident, because at the end of the day, it boils down to you. It boils down to your mindset, okay? So that is step number 2. Be sure that the right ones who value you will pay for you, guys. Don't forget that, okay? If you are pricing yourself just perfectly, if you are pricing yourself to your worth, you will find people who will pay for that, okay? You just have to be confident enough to let go of the people who are okay with you undercharging yourself and who don't want you to charge yourself more or to your worth, okay? Now, number 3 is, I think when you are first starting out, it can get a little tricky as to what is the right pricing for you, what is the right price, and all of those things. So what I did when I first started out is I decided to structure my pricing. And what I mean by that is base your pricing on something. Now, it's not very effective long term, because after a point, you're going to go away from your pricing it on something, and you're going to price it on the results. But until you are confident, or until you can consistently get results, which will obviously make you confident, this way is probably a really nice way, and it's more, I think, grounded in its approach. So you can base it on whatever you want. You can base it on the time investment that you have. You can base it on the results that you offer. You can base it on the worth that you bring to the table. Whatever it is, make sure that it is consistent, okay? So for example, you wanna say, I'm charging $50 an hour. Don't randomly go out and charge $100 an hour. No, you have to be consistent with whatever you are pricing. For example, you're booking a 1-month package where you're going to be spending 3 hours on the client. So maybe you want to price it at $150. There's a 2-month package, but you're spending maybe 6 hours. Then maybe you want to go for $300. So base it on something. Have a bottom line for it. For example, if you want to do maybe your time commitments, or maybe you want to do the results. Maybe the results are 100 followers on Instagram, whatever it is, or a revenue increase of $1,000. With a revenue increase of $1,000, maybe you want to keep some percentage of it as your price of whatever the services that you're offering. It can base on anything as long as it's based on something consistent. So that's what I mean when I call structure your pricing. So when I first started out, I structured it based on time, okay? And there are pros and cons to structuring it based on time. And I'm just wondering if I have enough time to talk about it in this episode. I guess I will. Let's just talk about it. This episode is probably going to be a little bit longer than usual, guys. But I really have so much to talk about, and I think that this is interesting for you as well. And I know that this is going to be super, super helpful for you. So let's do it, guys. So when you go for time-based pricing, it definitely makes you more confident, because you know that, hey, I'm putting in 3 hours. Each hour is worth this much. So yes, I'm super confident that I'm giving you what it is. However, long term, it doesn't really work out, because as you keep doing the task, you actually get more efficient. And because you get more efficient, you reduce the amount of time that you spend on the work. So when you're starting out, to be more confident, yes, you can absolutely do a time-based pricing. But when you are starting to grow and you realize that you're doing the task faster and faster, I highly recommend switching over to value-based pricing. And what value-based pricing is that you actually base your pricing on the results that you're offering your client and not the time investment that you are making. For example, like I mentioned before, if you are maybe revamping their entire email marketing automation, and it probably takes you 1 hour because you're that good. I mean, because they're paying you for your expertise, right? So you can charge whatever you'd like for that results, for that ease of email marketing for your client and whatnot. So you're charging them for the benefit and the transformation, but you're not charging them for the time that you invested in it. It could take you 6 hours, it could take you an hour, whatever it is, but you're charging them for the transformation. So whatever it is, however you want to do it. You want to do it value-based, you want to do it time-based, you want to do it month-based, you want to do it maybe skill-based, whatever it is, make sure that you are consistently structuring your pricing. And that definitely works as you evolve as a business owner and as a service provider. Yes, you will figure out something that clicks, something that works for you, your industry, your clients, their mindset, your mindset, all of those things. But you can't get there unless you experiment. And when I say experiment, I don't mean experiment erratically. Make sure that you are consistently experimenting so that you can truly understand where your audience is at, whether your customer is willing to pay it, not willing to pay it, what the transformation is, what you can expect, what they can expect, and how you can consistently deliver it, because that's super key too. Okay? So that was number 3 for you, okay? Number 4 is defend your position. Now, I know that this is a little bit difficult because, well, if you are not confident to begin with, then you might not be able to defend your position. Now, I told you at the beginning of this podcast episode, I told you to write down all the accomplishments that you've ever made, including your educational degree, all of those things. Now, I want you to take that sheet of paper. We will never throw it, guys. That's probably something for you to keep for life, okay? Now take that paper and start marking the things that are actually important for the services that you do offer. And that is going to help you defend your worth, because you have tangible things that you bring to the table that is your worth. And not just that, if you have client testimonials, those help you defend your worth. If you have your client talking about the transformation, or if there's a physical transformation, like for example, if their website before was absolute crap and then you made it super, super beautiful, that is you defending your worth. So make sure that you're grabbing all of that. If someone DMs you saying, oh my God, you're super awesome, I loved this tip, it helped me with so and so, grab that, guys. Those are all key things to help you defend your worth. It doesn't matter if it is for your free content or for your paid content or your paid services, whatever it is, those are defending your worth. It's one thing to have it on a piece of paper. It's another thing to actually have that, to actually have someone coming in your defense and saying, hey, this person, she's awesome. Or this person, he's doing super awesome. He can actually do what he's saying. Okay? So find pieces that help you defend your worth, not define your worth. Because you would have finished defining your worth, right? Okay? Also, another thing that you can do to defend your position is to know who you're competing with. Now, I know that people say, well, I don't really want to look at my competition because it just freaks me out. Honestly, knowing who you're competing with, knowing what they bring to the table, what they do not bring to the table, is actually one of the healthiest things that you can do for your business and your services, okay? So understand who you're competing with, understand what they bring to the table, what they don't bring to the table, that's more important. And what do you bring to the table that they don't bring to the table? God, this was complicated, but I know that you guys know what I meant. So by figuring all of that out, that's also helping you defend your worth. Because if someone comes up to you and asks you, why is your price maybe higher than person B? And that's quite natural, guys. You can't hold it against them because they're doing their due diligence as a client, as a customer, right? So you can't hold that against them. But what you can do is you can defend your worth. You can say, well, they are priced at that point because they offer so, so, so. I am priced at this point because I offer so, so, and so. And I don't believe in putting competition down, to be very honest with you. That is something against my ethics and my moral values. However, nothing stops you from putting your worth to the table. Okay? All you have to do is show what person A is offering and show what person B, that is you, offering, and your customer will be able to make the judgment themselves. So by understanding what your competition is bringing to the table and what they're not, you are finding the gap in the market, and you know that you are bringing something to the table, and that's what you use to defend your worth. Okay? So that was point number 4. Okay? And yes, just like a slight side tip, I guess, for point number 4 is it's okay to know who you're competing with, but at the same time, it's also okay to not take your competition into consideration during some moments. There will be times where you feel that, they're way too low priced and they have their own limiting beliefs that they're dealing with. And that's when you know that I'm not going to engage in that because that's their limiting belief and they're going to work on it on their time, whatever it is. But I'm going to price my worth. And you never know, guys. You might actually price yourself to your worth, and that might actually get your competition to increase their prices. This has actually happened to me, so that's how I know that this happens. So I priced myself to my worth, and my competition was pricing themselves way, way too low, and that was their own limiting beliefs. I can't hold it against them because we all come with our own limiting beliefs, and I had just gotten over mine. It was not that I was on any moral high ground. It's just that I had already overcome that particular limiting belief. So when I raised my prices, she reached out to me and then she said, hey, are you even getting clients at this price? And I said, yes, you just have to believe in your worth and whatever you're doing. And I think it took about like a month or 2, I guess. And she also increased her prices. And I felt so proud of her because at the end of the day, we're pricing our worth, okay? And I hate when this whole market is about who charges the least or whatnot. No, it should always be who charges to their value and the transformation that they bring and the benefits that they bring. And I believe, guys, and I've read countless books on this, I believe that money is abundant. I think that there is enough money for everyone. There is enough clients for everyone in this space and whatnot. I guess it's got something to do with the amount of money in circulation and stuff like that. Whatever that is, economics part of it, there is enough for everyone. So I actually felt really happy and proud of her for raising her prices and for overcoming that particular limiting belief because I went through it and I know how hard it is to actually overcome it. So, and I'm confident, guys, that you guys will be able to overcome it too, okay? So we're going to get there. Now, number 5, and this is probably counterintuitive, but fake it till you make it. Honestly, guys, I did overcome the limiting belief, but I wasn't able to project that out to people, so I faked it till I made it. Till one day I woke up and I was actually confident about my prices. The thing is, guys, if you are confident about your prices, then there's some sort of energy that goes and makes the other person more confident about what you offer as well. But if you aren't at the moment, and that's okay, that's completely normal. It takes time to get there. Fake it. Play poker. Play poker face, I guess. Put your poker face on. Yes, I guess that's the best way to go about it. Put your poker face on, The more you practice being confident, to be honest with you, the more confident you will get. And the more you consistently deliver on your results, the more confident you will get automatically. It just is a switch that goes off in your mind. Okay? But until then, it does take a little bit of time because you need to actually get those results consistently. You need to keep telling yourself your worth and all of those things. You have to fake it. That's it. It's as simple as that, guys. And faking gets easier as time goes, and then at some point, you yourself will be convinced because of the results and because of your awesomeness and because your clients will tell you themselves as well. And that's how you slowly build up on your confidence, all right? So that actually brings me to the end of this podcast episode. Now, if you guys like this podcast episode as much as I did recording it, please do leave me a review. Also, subscribe because I release podcast episodes every day from Monday to Friday, sometime in the morning, EST. And I usually talk about Instagram strategy, marketing strategy, business strategy, and I do talk a little bit about mindset as well. Okay? And if you guys are interested in the services that I do offer, I do have one-on-one marketing strategy consultations. I also do have Instagram audits at the moment that I am conducting. All right? That brings me to the very end. I hope you guys like this. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll catch you guys in my next podcast episode very soon. Bye-bye, guys.